When you say you're from Bucks County, everyone knows exactly where or what you are. You're halfway between New York and Philadelphia. You're either very creative, historical, agricultural, or just rich. The peace and the quiet of Bucks County brought and inspired such creative spirits as Oscar Hammerstein, Moss Hart, Dorothy Parker, George Kaufman, Lillian Hellman, and that's just to name a few. But the peace and the quiet has its price. It was S.J. Perlman who said, Bucks County is where God would live if he could afford it. Celebrities like James Michener, Paul Simon, Don Meredith still maintain houses in Bucks County where their privacy is needed and respected. But today we have the privilege of visiting some of the people who keep the magic of Bucks County alive. Well-known artists and designers. We'll also stop by and chat with David Burpee, the old gentleman known as the Dean of American Seedsmen. And we'll visit some incredibly creative people who have turned old Bucks County barns into homes that reflect their own personal lifestyle. Later, when we return here, you'll be my guest for a smashing party and meet Betty Furness, Rex Reed, the producers of the movie The Wiz, the president of Cartier's, and many, many more. Well, let's not spend any more time here. I've got a lot to show you. Roy, let's go to Carversville. This is the studio of Western illustrator Charles Hargens. Mr. Hargens is in his 80s and is renowned for his Western illustrations for the covers of such well-known publications as Collier's and the Saturday Evening Post. He's been in this area for almost 40 years. The studio reflects his lifestyle, and his paintings are inspired by the Western memorabilia found everywhere.
When you're first getting going, a lot of things you do are books for boys, and they were always laid in a romantic period of time, mostly the American Revolution, and so you picked up all kinds of things. Now, I have a trunks, complete costumes of everything from the early colonial days on up, because I've done a great deal of early colonial work. You notice that this is a 45 single-action Colt, which belonged to my brother, also part of that saddle equipment. And this is what I used in this painting. This is a single action. That is, every time you shoot it, you've got to cock it. And that's quite a gun. You notice it's ivory on one side, and someone said, where's the other grip? Well, they were made this way by Colt. So this was a fancy thing that you looked out. That made you, you know, you were up with the boys.
Charles Hargens is truly a master of Western art whose paintings almost come alive. Here we are in Carversville. Actually, before 1833, this little town was known as Milton, which in all likelihood is a contraction of the word mill town. But in 1833, a gentleman named Thomas Carver became postmaster, and the town soon became known as Carversville. As a matter of fact, this town has just lost its only gas station. Right over there. Bob Kling, who owned the property and leased it to tenants, said he objected to the gas station the same way the townspeople used to object to his grandfather's dance hall. The dance hall was right over there where Bob is the town cabinet maker. The Carversville Inn is owned by the former hairdresser Jackie O. He's open only on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. For a rather stiff tariff, Bobby will prepare a pleasant dinner for you. Over here, in the general store once operated by her family, Betty Miller now displays her marvelous mélange of years past, reflecting the lifestyle of over 2 centuries of Bucks County residents. Betty carefully logs each article, ranging from the most massive antique sleigh to early spool chests and tin biscuits and tea boxes of every description. When one enters Betty's store, it's like a trip into another period in time.
Bo-ho, you got me crying for you. And as I sit here and sigh, says I can't believe it's true. Bo-ho, that's why I'm crying for you. Someday you'll feel like I do, and you, babe, boo-hoo, boo-hoo, boo-hoo.
Carversville has remained a rather quiet, sleepy little community, with one exception. Raymond Granville Barger. Barger is an eccentric 71-year-old sculptor who swings a hammer with the punch of a 20-year-old.
Got her in there.
His obsession is a massive 36-ton steel sculpture, which he is presently constructing in his garden. He calls it Equality. All the materials have been donated, and when it's finished, according to Barger, it will be a gift to humanity.
All right. We'll lock that up later. That's the old center. Let's go.
Raymond and his wife Lilius live in this 18th century grist mill, originally built by Thomas Ellicott, a good friend of Thomas Jefferson.
Boy, does that feel good. That's coming right out of the well, you know. This is our humidifier in the winter in the house, but in the summer we put it out here, and this is drinking water coming around. It's not circulating, it's drinking. The whole community comes in, the dogs and the birds and myself. Now, I'm a little bit pooped because lifting all that metal out there, but wow, feels good to sit down when you're 71 after doing that kind of work. Now, on my equality, I'm building it with my guts. I'm 71 years old, and I was supposed to build it for $51 million in Washington on the banks of the Potomac. And it was... Statue of Liberty is the only thing that remains from 100 years ago. The French gave us that. If it had been sold to somebody for money, they would have melted it up for the metal by now. Now, the only thing left from 100 years ago is the Statue of Liberty. Here we are 6 months after the 200-year birthday, and guess what we got left? Nothing. There's nothing in Washington, in Philadelphia, any place. Bucks County spent $197,000, and they ended up with $33,000 worth of arm pads and flags, which are so poorly designed, no one wants them. If the ERA wants to have a symbol, this is the symbol for the ERA. I was a passenger in the horse and wagon when my mother insisted on driving to a very special election 57 years ago, the first time a woman could vote. And I made a drawing of her. She, with the reins in her hand, she was smiling, and my father was pouting just a little because some of his powers had diminished, right? Well, when you add them all together, this is my life's work. I've done other big sculptures, and I've been given honors in Europe. I've done some of the largest piece at the World's Fair in 1939 and 40. It was 65 feet high, and my whole life has been this, and this I'm going to give to humanity.
much for quiet, sleepy Carversville. Lumberville is our next stop. Lumberville is a little town that hasn't changed much in a millennium. It's a canal town with one main industry, lumber. The lumber mill has been in the hands of the Tinsman family since the mid-18th century, and the fourth generation of Tinsmans are still supplying Bucks County builders with their basic needs. The Black Bass Inn has been a landmark dating back to the early 1700s, when it first opened. During the Revolutionary War, it was a Tory stronghold, and many of the offices warmed themselves by its massive fireplace. Presidents and heads of state have spent enjoyable vacations right here. Here we are in the center of downtown Lumberville, the center of activity, the Lumberville store. The general store has always been a gathering place for the local residents who pick up their mail and pause to catch up on the news.
Nice party you had the other night.
That was the wrong box. Thank you. I had a good time. Hope everybody else did, too.
Oh, for sure. When's the next one?
Well, we're playing baseball in the meadow.
When?
Sunday afternoon.
Beer?
I hope.
Okay, good. I hope so, too.
Gerald Gordon, the former Brooklyn mailman, moved here 6 years ago to escape the pressures of city living for the simple lifestyle of Bucks County. He's now the postmaster, general storekeeper, sandwich maker to the lunchtime trade, and operates the only gas pump in town. Gerald's watchful feline chatter passes approval on all who enter here.
That was a wonderful party.
See if we can get some complaints.
By the way, this young man is one of the Tinsman clan. Tommy has a unique lifestyle of his own. You see, Tommy lives in a red caboose, perched on the side of a mountain overlooking the entire Tinsman dynasty.
I was out looking for a place to live. My lease was up. I didn't really like paying as much rent as you have to pay around here for a place to live in. And off of the top of my head, I found this caboose in Ohio. It's a worn-out B&O railroad caboose that I picked up out there, and they shipped to Philadelphia, and I brought to the woods. And it's mine, and I can, close the door and go away for a month or go to work and come back, and it's here, and it's nice. Nobody to bother me.
I have many more people for you to meet, so don't go away.